Welcome back to The Factor Uncensored. There is trouble in the trucking industry. You know those big trucks that haul all of our goods? Yellow Corporation, a 99-year-old trucking company, has shut down, leaving 30,000 people without work. This news comes as thousands of truck drivers around the country have left the business this year. Two trucking business owners join me to share their point of view. Rap legend, and you know him, Lil Troy, wanna be a baller, shot caller, and Dominique Leonard both own trucking companies. Guys, we have seen the rates go down significantly for truck drivers across the nation, and many are leaving the industry. Troy, have you been impacted by this? Have you seen a difference in rates? And if so, why?
Well, there's a big difference in the rates. The brokers, to me, is keeping too much of the lion's share of the money for the job that all the truck drivers is doing. And so that's making the truck drivers, not making enough money by the time they pay for fuel, maintenance, insurance, and stuff like that. They ain't really brought no money home to be gone all day or for a whole week at a time.
And so for many of us who are not familiar with your industry, when you say broker, is that like the middleman between the companies, say a Walmart and a Lil Troy trucking company?
That's the middleman. The middleman want to keep all the money. Yep, the broker is the middleman.
And Dominique, what has been your experience as a trucking company owner?
Well, as Little Troy said, I got to piggyback on what he said. It makes a lot of sense because, again, what happens is that by the time we get the load, that money been cut 3 different ways already. And like I said, they don't take into consideration the fact that we got to pay for gas. We got to, for example, I just got out of my truck just now, and I had to get some more tires on my truck. That's another, X amount of money. So what happens again is that we get these loads, but the money's already cut 3 different times. Now, they think because gas goes down, the load should go down. That's not so. If gas go down, the load should be at a nice amount where we can still make money and provide for our family, our children, whatever it may be. Because again, we're out here and we're grinding. And sometimes, like right now, the loads right now are so low. You have to do about 2 loads, 3 loads a day to make the money you were making before with just 1 load.
Now, why, Dominique, are we seeing the brokers or the so-called middlemen taking so much off the top? Or is that it? Are the companies not paying as well?
Well, so most brokers, what they do, they'll go in there and they'll bid for a load. Let's just give an example. Let's just say the load paid $500, okay? And then, and the broker will say, hey, I want to keep 175 of that, or maybe 125 of that. So now the load now is 325 or 425. And so we'll call for this load 425, and we have to say, hey, I'll take this load off your hand right now. If you give me 425 or 450 or 475, we'll say, well, listen, I got to make some money too, man. So at least leave me something on the table for myself. And I'm like, wait, what? So I feel like if the load is 500, give it to us 500. Don't cut off the top, but brokers got to make their money too. And I get that, but at the same time, don't scheme too much off the top. Leave some there for me and Troy to make money.
Now, is it impossible for you guys, Lil Troy, to go directly to the companies and say, look, here's what we should be paid, and we're not getting this with the middleman, so let's get the middleman out of the picture?
Well, it's possible certain loads I have that I go direct to the customer and I take the load from the customer. But majority of the loads have to go through, which is a broker. And a broker a lot of times want to take anywhere between 25 to 50% of that
Wow.
amount. See, so like you were saying, they paying $1,000. The broker almost want to keep 500 of it. They, I can see them making 15% of whatever that load is. That's because you ain't did the work. I took the load. I've been on all day or all week or whatever. So, let me make some money. Let the truck driver make some money so they can feed their family.
What's your opinion on freight brokers?
Some of them are okay, but most of them will lie to you.
What do you think of freight brokers?
Man, they can do a lot better, but they all right, though.
Yeah.
Some of them all right, though. Some of them all right.
What are your thoughts on freight brokers?
Don't like them.
You don't like
No. They cheat you out of money.
Is there anything you'd want to tell the freight broker community about trucking? Anything that comes to mind?
No, I'm gonna keep my mouth shut on that.
What do you think of freight brokers?
better not say.
The other day that burned my britches said freight brokers poised to make greater margin increases in profits this next quarter. And I thought, man, that just burns my britches, because here's the middlemen that have just developed in a generation of trucking and are sucking all the profit out of it, and they have no investment whatsoever. So the trucks make less money, but the middlemen, the load brokers, are poised to make even better money this next quarter. Man, I hate freight brokers.
Popular among truckers, and many times for good reason. Brokers can and often do take an enormous slice of the pie. Many will take roughly 25 to 30% of the load, and sometimes that can even go upwards of 45% depending on the load and the broker. This is just an example of legal broker gouging, but what happens when they turn to shadier practices? Something all too common is double brokering. This is when a shipper provides freight to a broker with the expectation that they will give the freight to a carrier, and that carrier will then haul the load. But instead, the broker tenders the freight to another broker without the consent of the original shipper. This can happen multiple times depending on how complex the scheme is. Joe Howard, who works for a Midwestern logistics company, tracked an alleged network of scammers posing as legitimate companies and found that double brokering scams cost the industry upwards of $100 million annually. Just last week, a Tijuana man pleaded guilty for a double brokering scheme, which made him nearly $250,000.
Because every time you bring on a client, right, you're advancing them the money. So it's a very cash.
And I'm hiring salespeople.
Right.
No, but we're hiring salespeople that are growing fast. So Fritz now, he's got his people to call that will give us money like this, but it's expensive.
Right.
But it can't, so that's what we do. At one point, OTR had 44 different investors in it.
How much money you make?
I don't know. 70,000 last month.
Get the fuck out of here.
I'm serious.
Yeah, no, I'm serious too. Seriously, how much money you make?
I told you. 70,000. Well, technically 72,000 last month. Something like that.
You made $72,000 in 1 month.
Yeah.
I tell you what. You show me a pay stub for $72,000 on it, I quit my job right now and I work for you. Hey, Paulie, what's up? No, everything's fine. Hey, listen, I quit.